Let's head back to breaking news here at home from the Capitol overnight. The Senate just narrowly confirmed Pete Hegseth to serve as our next Secretary of Defense. There were 3 Republicans, including former Republican leader Mitch McConnell, who voted against Hegseth's nomination, forcing Vice President J.D. Vance to cast the tie-breaking vote. This is only the second time a vice president has ever cast a deciding vote for a cabinet member. Hegseth's nomination faced intense scrutiny and allegations of excessive drinking and an accusation of sexual misconduct, which he denies. Joining us now is the former Deputy Press Secretary for the Pentagon, Sabrina Singh.
Sabrina, welcome. So, a busy week. We're still trying to take it all in. Hegseth is now our Secretary of Defense. So I'd like you to hear what Armed Services Ranking Member Jack Reed had to say about all of this.
The Senate is not considering a low-level appointee right now. We are advising and consenting on the nominee for Secretary of Defense. And we cannot risk installing a leader who may have a history that is exploitable by our adversaries. Nor can we risk confirming a Secretary of Defense who has shown that he is incapable of being responsible, accountable, and law-abiding 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, as that job requires.
Responsible, accountable, law-abiding. What's the expectation with Hegseth? I mean, what do senators and DOD personnel at this point, from your understanding, think is going to happen next?
Well, look, I mean, he was just confirmed, so he's going to be walking into that building. I think what Senator Reed said is really important. That the job of the Secretary of Defense is a 24-hour job. You can get calls in the middle of the night at all times. I remember my boss, former Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, being in the Indo-Pacific and getting a call in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. his time. You know, you have to be prepared for different circumstances at any given time. So now, incoming Secretary Hegseth is walking into a building where you have the acting secretary deployed 1,500 more troops to the border. That's going to impact readiness. That's going to impact how the force posture looks. He's walking into how are we going to continue to support Ukraine, a crisis in the Middle East, of course, and then, you know, the longer-term challenges of the Indo-Pacific and China. We call that our pacing challenge. I know this administration, of course, is keeping an eye on China, but he's walking into things that are going to require 24/7 monitoring. And is he prepared for that job? You know, I think Jack Reed and you know, you saw Senator McConnell's statement yesterday. I think that shows that there's a lot of concerns about his, you know, own readiness and walking into this job.
We do have Senator Mitch McConnell's statement. It says partly this: effective management of nearly 3 million military and civilian personnel, an annual budget of nearly $1 trillion, and alliances and partnerships around the world is a daily test with staggering consequences for the security of the American people and our global interests. Mr. Hegseth has failed as yet to demonstrate that he will pass this test. But as he assumes office, the consequences of failure are as high as they have ever been. That is a damning statement. Can you just talk to us about the dynamics within the building at DOD or as you were leaving? And I'm really struck by what you said about what the Secretary does. The Secretary of Defense is in charge of, like, they're our lead negotiator and arbiter of the agreements that we have with other countries and security personnel. Like, has Pete Hegseth ever negotiated an agreement?
I don't think so. Look, I think here one of the concerning allegations on, you know, Pete Hegseth's past is the mismanagement of funds for some of the organizations he founded. You're walking into a building where you're about to manage almost 3 million people, a budget of $1 trillion. This is one of the biggest agencies in the world, the most powerful, lethal military the world's ever seen. And that is a job that is going to require your attention at all times. So the dynamics in the building, look, the good thing is you have really great people there, not just in the building, all around the world that are going to be there to help support and guide the incoming secretary. So that gives me confidence. That gives me faith in our institutions. But, you know, a $1 trillion budget that you have to be beholden to the American taxpayers, that is a big deal. And I think, you know, you look at the past secretaries that we've had, Republicans and Democrats, these are people, you know, we might not have agreed with them at all times, but they have managed multi-million-dollar budgets at times and, you know, understand the lethality of our military and what this, you know, the decisions that you're going to make. And so, you know, the good thing is he's going to have good people around him, but I think rightfully senators
Well,
will express concerns.
Is he really?
That's what- thank
Is
you,
he?
Michael.
So
Mike, we
let
don't
me
know what's
shatter your
going on.
confidence just a little bit, because I'm not so confident he's going to have good people
Right.
around him. We are going to talk a little bit later about the massive firing of IGs in the various departments and agencies. Let's talk about the people who actually do the job at DOD. You know them. You've worked with a lot of them. What are they waking up to on Monday morning? And how concerned should they be that you have a Secretary of Defense who's coming in who's already claimed he wants to fire generals? Why? Because, I don't know, Donald Trump told me to fire generals. He wants to dismantle the administrative state, if you will, of the DOD. I don't know how he's going to manage the money, but I just know that people who have the kinds of issues that he's alleged to have do not do well under pressure. Mm-hmm. So what do people who work in the building, it's a big building, think is going to happen? Or how do they look at it?
I think you raise a good point. Look, there's a difference between the political appointees that Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth install, and then the civilian career workforce and the uniformed military and our men and women that serve in uniform every day. Those are folks that, have institutional knowledge. If I were an incoming secretary like Pete Hegseth that did not have the experience that other secretaries of defense have, I would rely on that civilian workforce and those men and women in uniform to help get me settled, to help get me up to speed. Will he do that? I don't know. I think we're pretty clear that Donald Trump installed a bit of a yes man here. But there are really great people on the joint staff that I had the absolute honor to serve alongside with every single day. So what they're walking into the building on Monday, and I got to correct you, they're probably there right now, working around the clock. They're going to continue to do their jobs. We have missions all around the world, whether it be in the Indo-Pacific, in Europe, in the Middle East. They're going to continue to work and execute on that mission, and they're going to continue to do it every single day, no matter who's in that seat. So I think that's important. That should give the American people some hope and confidence in, our uniformed force and our civilian workforce.
All right, hope and confidence. It goes with
for
that.
now.
For now. I hope and confidence for the people, responsibility and accountability for the Secretary of Defense. Who do?